Yes, namaste and welcome everyone for today's webinar on our certificate program in Hindu Studies. Thank you for joining us from all around. Satish Damle from Atlanta. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. And so we're going to get into this certificate program in Hindu Studies that we have designed, developed, meticulously produced to share with you, because the question is, what does being a conscious, engaged, and resilient Hindu mean? And this certificate program in Hindu Studies prepares students to engage with the world as a Hindu with confidence and clarity. So this entire program and the courses enable and promote an intergenerational resilience. It goes beyond seeking peace and spiritual grounding, the adhyatmic dimension of Hindu Dharma, which is necessary and critically important, but it is insufficient to engage with the world, especially an unfriendly one. We know all about the Hindu phobia that is palpable, that is pervasive, that is actually in the subconscious of the Western institutions that we're participating in. So in short, this certificate program in Hindu studies supports students in discovering and embracing their swadharma, which leads to a life of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. So in this webinar, we're going to have President of HUA, Sri Kalyan Vishwanathan, share his thoughts about the centrality of the certificate program in Hindu studies. We've got Dr. Kalika Uttarkar, who's deeply engaged with our community education division, teaches several courses. She's going to share her perspectives, and then we're going to have a few students who are part of the CPHS program, and we'll bring them on as panelists when they join and have them share their testimonial as well. So in the meantime, if you haven't yet put in the chat where you're zooming in from, please do that. There's a little poll going on if you're a first timer, if you're a returning webinar attendee, and if you're interested in taking courses, if you're already enrolled in a program, let us know by filling out that poll. Again, it is my pleasure to be hosting today's webinar on the certificate program in Hindu Studies here at Hindu University of America. Thank you all for being here. Kalikaji, maybe I'll hand it to you to get started, and I'll make sure that we get our student panelists joining shortly.
Ankurji, I'm not able to hear Kalyanji. Is it so from your side?
So I think my audio is working, but Kalyanji and Kalikaji's is not. Is that correct?
I
can't.
Am I audible? Can you hear
What
me?
is going on?
I'm not able to hear Kalyanji.
Kalikaji, can you try speaking again?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Kalyanji, can you try again? No, Kalyanji is not audible. Kalikaji, are you audible?
Yes, I'm audible.
Yeah, so we can hear Kalikaji, but not Kalyanji now.
Okay, how about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Now we can hear you.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay, good. Right. Sorry for that breakdown. Okay. So sorry about that. Wow. Okay. Um, So I first of all wanted to begin by welcoming all of you for today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. I also wanted to wish you all a very happy Navaratri. Right. Yesterday I was at a Hindu mandir here in Los Angeles where I'm visiting, and I went for a Navaratri puja and stayed there briefly. And it was full. The place was so full of our community, participating uh, in a Gayatri puja. Yesterday it was a Gayatri Devi puja at this Hindu mandir, and there was a kumkum abhisheka, or kumkum puja, or something like that. It was going on. It was really fantastic to participate and to just sit there and observe and engage with that. And I was struck by as I was sitting in that uh, event, right, in that puja, I was struck by one thought, which was that probably 95% of the people in that mandir, which was full, by the way, have never heard of Hindu University of America, right? Never heard of it. And, but they are very, very devout uh, Hindus with a tremendous Shraddha and Bhakti, which is true for most Hindus today. We have confidence in our culture and traditions. We have Shraddha, we have Bhakti. Many of us participate in some form of yoga, maybe karma yoga, if nothing else, right? We do seva. We do a lot of things. Many Hindus are very active in the performing arts, kala, and kritya, natya, sangeeta, bhajans, kirtans, and so on. The question is, why study Hinduism? Why engage in systematic study? Okay. Uh, you know, is there a real need to study Hinduism at all? Okay. So what do you think? Type some answers in the chat window. Okay. Type some answers. Somebody. Why do you believe? Is there a need? And listen, we advertised this webinar to nearly 30,000 people. And 30 people have joined today. Okay. So obviously studying Hinduism systematically, Hindu studies systematically, engaging in Hindu studies systematically is not a very high priority for the Hindu community overall. And I can assert that quite confidently because, I have been the president of this university for 5 years now, more than 5 years now. And when I started this journey, I knew that there was not a lot of demand for Hindu studies out there. Not a lot. And demand had to be created. Demand had to be generated, created from nothing. From no demand, we had to create a demand. And we've been at it for 5 years now, right? Yet, in a certain sense, the vast majority of Hindus are not engaged in the systematic study of Hindu Dharma. Okay, so any thoughts on why that is? Why that is? First, let's start there. Okay, let's start there. Anybody, please do type in your answers. Okay, so here is one answer. S.M. Krishnan is saying, we're not able to talk to anyone what Hinduism is in a nutshell. We feel rituals are the only thing in Hindu religion. How to introduce Hindu Dharma to our children? It's a fantastic answer, okay. Krishnanji, really, really, really great. It's a summary of the Hindu condition, because somehow through the extraordinary period of colonization, invasions, and adversities that Hinduism has faced, what we seem to have preserved most of all is our rituals, the puja, the abhisheka, the mandirs. We preserved that. But the extraordinary knowledge traditions of Sanatana Dharma have become deeply attenuated. Okay, Eleanor is saying, Hinduism has so much to offer because it has preserved the oldest knowledge. It was put together for the good of humanity exclusively. Yes, that's all true. Given by very highly developed sages. Tell us what is beneficial, what is harmful. Yeah, it's a great answer. Terrific answer, Eleanor. I mean, I'm very grateful that you, even though I assume you're not born in the Hindu tradition, but you have acquired a deep appreciation for Hindu Dharma over the years. Yeah. So colonialism has rewritten our history, and we're being taught by our colonizers what our own history is. That's an excellent answer. And history has become the dominant template through which to understand world civilizations and culture, world cultures, world civilizations, world religions, as they say, right? And that is deeply embedded in the curriculum at a very young age in schools and colleges. And there is a challenge with that, and I'm going to share a little bit about that. Its vastness is so overwhelming. Yeah, its vastness is so overwhelming. That is very true. It's very true. It can often sound like, or you can experience it like you caught hold of one little aspect of Hinduism, but there is so much more to learn, so much more to know. And all of these reasons makes it challenging to get a grounding, an intellectually sound, authentic grounding in Sanatana Dharma. There are a few places where you can get that. Now, some of us are very lucky. Some of us are lucky, and from a Hindu perspective, I shouldn't call it luck really, maybe our karma from prior janmas, right? From prior births and so on. It kind of leads us into a particular direction in life. Number one is, if you're born in a family, a Hindu family, which has a strong understanding and strong grounding in Sanatana Dharma, that itself is a great karma. Because when you have that, you get a direct transmission from your own parents, your grandparents, your cousins, your uncles and aunts, and so on. And that forms a very powerful, formative grounding in Sanatana Dharma. But fewer and fewer Hindus are getting that nowadays. Fewer and fewer Hindus are getting the benefit, the privilege of such a grounding, because the parents themselves have not sufficiently engage with Sanatana Dharma. I mean, they have preserved certain rituals, yes. They have preserved certain practices, definitely. They are Hindus, no question about it. But their intellectual engagement with Hindu Dharma has not been very sophisticated. And when that happens, the transmission of Dharma from generation to generation gets impaired. I hope I'm not saying something that is a little off the mark, right? I hope I'm not saying that. Shweta ji is saying, I don't know where to start. I want to learn everything. Teach, okay, where to start? Yeah, see, it's perfect. Shweta ji, you're in the perfect place, right? This is where we want to provide you a grounding, a proper grounding. See, I'll say something autobiographical for a moment, which is, I was also alienated from Sanatana Dharma to some extent as a young person. I also had my doubts, and I got into a place where the rituals of Sanatana Dharma, the performative traditions of Sanatana Dharma, occurred to me as empty of meaning, meaningless rituals. You understand? Have you ever heard that term, meaningless rituals? Hindus engage in meaningless rituals and superstitions. And yesterday, sitting in that mandir, watching the Gayatri puja, Navaratri puja, I was just reflecting on, how if I go back 30 years in my own life, I would have looked upon all of that and considered it meaningless rituals. Understand? And why am I saying this? Because this is where the younger generation gets trapped very quickly. They are quickly socialized and educated into thinking that Hinduism is nothing more than a lot of meaningless rituals, a lot of superstitions, beliefs that cannot be scientifically justified. Okay. And therefore, there is a kind of almost a conflicted relationship with Sanatana Dharma. Okay, that happened to me, and then I had to get out of it. I had to, I was grateful, very, very grateful, that I came into the ambit, the orbit, the influence of a guru, of Puja Swami Dayananda Saraswati of Arshavidya Gurukulam, which was fantastic. And when I got that, it began to ground me. Okay, and in part, in great part, most wholly, I would say, it is his teaching and his contribution to my development, intellectual development in Sanatana Dharma, that is at the source of the rejuvenation of this university, Hindu University of America. Okay. So a few of us are lucky, again, we have done the good karma in past lives, that we come under the influence of a sampradaya. Doesn't matter which sampradaya. Some of us get into ISKCON, some of us go into Art of Living, some of us go into, Isha Foundation nowadays, some of us go into Amachi, some of us get into Arshavidya Gurukulam, Chinmaya Mission. I mean, there are many, 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 many sampradayas, right? And so the next stage of development becomes kind of constrained and contained within a sampradaya. And of course, if one spends one's entire life within a sampradaya, there is no way you can acquire a different perspective than the perspective of that sampradaya, of that one sampradaya. So many Hindus then, very readily assert that my sampradaya is the whole of Hinduism, right? Which is not true, because there are so many sampradayas in Sanatana Dharma, so many traditions, so many sub-traditions, so many different cultures, right? So I think that's where I want to begin today's webinar, and this journey, for every one of us, this is a journey from complete ignorance leading to alienation from Hinduism, slowly moving towards some understanding, some knowledge. Maybe if we have some good karma in our lives, maybe getting embedded in a particular sampradaya, getting deeply committed to the ways of a particular sampradaya and its own commitments. Then perhaps moving out beyond that to understand the full scope and dimension of Sanatana Dharma, right? And then arrive at the place where we, as Hindus, acquire a sense of responsibility, personal responsibility for the preservation, protection, and transmission of the traditions across the future generations that are yet to come, yet to come, And to fulfill our responsibility properly, adequately, we have to go through some period of education. I can tell you, I started my journey with Swami Dayananda Saraswati in 1994. It was not until 2018 when I got involved with Hindu University of America. So that is a gestation period of what? 94, 2004, 2014, 24 years. 24 years. Before all that grounding matured into a commitment. Understand what I'm saying? Matured into a commitment that can actually create something of value, of lasting value for future generations. Okay. And Hindu University of America is an endeavor to create an institution that can last for many, many, many future generations yet to come. That future generations will find a place where they can readily come and engage, understand, immerse themselves, and come out completely transformed as Hindus. Okay, so that's the commitment behind the certificate program in Hindu studies. And now I am going to take you through a few slides very, very quickly. But before I do, Kalikaji, you want to say a few words introducing yourself and maybe add to what I have said so far? You're on mute, huh?
Okay. So thank you, Kalyanji. And for my personal experience, let me share that past 3 years I have been part of HUA, and I have been taking courses, and I will come to that in detail after we go through the slideshow and the understanding of the certificate program. So I will talk about that later. But initially, I would say that this is an enriching journey of growing together, and I would welcome all of you to be part of HUA and join this transformational journey because we all are part of a system which has had many issues and many problems, but we still have a future ahead and new generations to come. So there are a lot many things that we can do, and as HUA, we are doing our best, and we want more people who are passionate and who feel that it is their duty to spread across this whole attempt and the passion of spreading the real knowledge of Hinduism. So I'll come into the details later on, but yes.
Terrific. So now I'm going to share a few slides. Let me see. So the value, first of all, the value of the certificate program in Hindu studies, in my mind, right, how I am thinking about the certificate program, the value is that it transforms a Hindu from being a garden variety Hindu, okay, garden variety Hindu. That's a technical term, okay. I'm going to define what a garden variety Hindu is, okay, in a moment. Into being a conscious, engaged, and resilient Hindu. Now, first of all, who is a garden variety Hindu? Okay, they're born in a Hindu family. They are Hindus. They remain Hindus throughout their life, but they've never really given any time to understanding, exploring, engaging with this dharma. Okay, and therefore, like S.N. Krishnaji was saying, when you get caught somewhere and somebody asks you a question about Hinduism, you're caught off guard, can't explain it. Somebody say, oh, but what about the caste system? Somebody says that. Okay. And it completely destroys the conversation because you don't know what to say. That's just one example. Okay. So what does this mean? A conscious Hindu, someone who has adequate knowledge, and therefore strength and courage. And they have a sense of pride and responsibility about their own traditions and culture, which is to say, being ignorant is one thing. Being stuck with a sense of embarrassment and shame about our own culture is another thing. Because the product of colonialism, the colonial enterprise was to leave the colonized in a state of embarrassment and shame. And that's not unique to Sanatana Dharma. Okay, that's not. It is the shared experience of all colonized societies in Africa, in South America, all over the place. So to go from being embarrassed and ashamed of our own dharma to developing a sense of pride, knowledge, and courage to speak up, for example, is a major transformation. That's one of the outcomes of the certificate program in Hindu studies that we are aiming for. An engaged Hindu, you not only become conscious, you become engaged. You find new ways of engaging. Okay, and engaging means what? In education, in service, in advocacy, participating in the public square, in the media, with schools and colleges, with the younger generation, and in the issues of our time as a Hindu. Okay, that's an engaged Hindu, engaging with the world around you as a Hindu. Okay, that's engaged. And resilient. Resilient is not easily silenced, not easily flummoxed or confused, kind of thrown off by incoming challenges. And of course, resilience also has this intergenerational dimension that, a conscious, engaged, and resilient Hindu is able to transmit their culture responsibly to the next generation. If you can't do it as a Hindu, if you can't do it, you are inadvertently, without your knowledge, you are actually breaking a link. A link in the chain of transmission across the generations. Most Hindus they actually end up breaking these links without any knowledge that they are doing. They're actually breaking the link. And then, future generations, nobody can predict what is going to happen. All of this then leads to clarity, expertise, confidence, contribution. And it can give profound meaning and joy to your own lives. Meaning and joy. Okay, so this I can tell you for myself. Swami Dayananda Saraswati used to tell me if you find a useful purpose for your life, that itself is a great relief in our contemporary society, conditions of living. Meaning and joy. And it's our intention and commitment to enable people who go through the certificate program in Hindu studies to arrive at this point where they can find meaning and joy in their lives, to participate in their environments with confidence and clarity, to be of service to the world in some meaningful way, and through that be deeply fulfilled. And that's the goal of the certificate program in Hindu studies. Now, the scope of Hindu studies has got a lot of different dimensions. There is Hindu philosophy, there is Hindu spirituality, there is Hindu texts, of which there are so many. We have millions of texts in Sanskrit, for example, and in many other vernacular languages. We have so many traditions. We have history to study, our own history, the history of the world, the history of the interactions between the world and Hindu society, the study of Hindu society itself. And oh, by the way, I am teaching a course next quarter called Distinguishing Varna and Jati from Caste. And it's a very important course for those people who want to play a respectable and responsible, meaningful role when it comes to the discourse, the prevailing discourse on caste, both in the West and in India. So if you haven't looked at a course up, please do look it up. It's a must-do course. Hindu contributions to the world in science, in technology, in the arts, mathematics, in so many different fields, right? And lastly, culture. So there are so many dimensions, okay? And we have situated so many courses as part of the certificate program in Hindu studies. Now, I'm going to pause here and ask Kalikaji to share about some of the courses she teaches at in the certificate program in Hindu studies. Kalikaji, over to you. I'll stop sharing.
So thank you, Kalyanji. So I would like to give a brief introduction of the courses that I'm taking. Um, I take 4 courses to be very precise. The first course is Introduction to Upanishads. This course comes in part 1 and part 2. And the second paper that I take, course that I take is Introduction to Hindu Philosophy, Shad Darshanas. And the third course that I take is Growing Up with Gita. This is for the teenagers, because at HUA we want to reach out to the young generation, and they should feel that this philosophy is relevant to their life and they can solve their life issues with the help of Bhagavad Gita, where it can be a friend, philosopher, and guide who is traveling with them through their journey of life. So that is a very important course. And then the fourth course is a new course that we are coming up this quarter, that is Hindu Dharmic Parenting. So we are trying to address the new parents, the old parents, teachers, community workers, and all those passionate people who feel that our new generation has to be nourished by the wisdom of Hindu philosophy. And this course also deals with different techniques of parenting, how we can bring this wisdom into day to day life, and how our children can be more central to their Hinduism concept, and how they can take it forward with robust pride and clarity. So these are the 4 courses. To begin with, I would give a brief introduction of Introduction to Upanishads. So this course is divided into 2 parts. We take 11 major Upanishads. So first part consists of 6 Upanishads, that is Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Munda, Mandukya, and Aitareya. And the later part takes about Taittiriya, Aitareya, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka, and Shveta Upanishads. So the distribution is like this. And in this course, we deal about the basic and fundamental questions that we all face at some point or the other in life. Who am I? Who am I really? What is my identity? Is it the name that I'm carrying since my parents have named me accordingly? Or am I beyond that? Is it just my body or I'm much more than that? So all this kind of discussions, they are around this question, who am I? Then the second question, which is, what is the purpose and meaning of my life? Why am I born in this world? Is it just randomly that I'm put into this world? What is the purpose of my life? What kind of actions do I need to choose? Because we continuously face a situation where we have to choose between our actions. So, which is the right action? How to choose? What are the parameters of choosing the right action? So, all this kind of discussion is around this question that, and of course, what is the goal of my life? What is the concept of Purushartha? What is the concept of ashrama? And how do I actually experience all this? So, Upanishads is our fundamental treasure of knowledge, which teaches us that knowledge without implication is of no use. Knowledge should transform us, knowledge should change our life, the way we look at our life. And therefore, this is a transformational journey. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. This is the philosophy that we inherit. So here comes the aspect of bhakti, aspects of yoga, how we have to do our sadhana, how to deal with our inner emotions, inner aspirations, what are the techniques and what are the ways. So Upanishads are the genesis of all these questions and their possible answers. And therefore this course becomes very relevant. Now this program, certificate program in Hindu studies, if we consider it as a big tree, then Upanishads form the roots of this tree because it is the philosophical aspect. We know that we have four Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. Now they are understood into four segments: Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishads. So Upanishads are the philosophical aspect of our Vedas. They are also called as Vedanta. So this study nourishes us from our roots, and this nourishment goes through all the trunk, branches, leaves, and fruits, and then this society and individual flourishes. So therefore, it becomes our primary duty to understand what our Upanishads are saying. What is the philosophical foundation of our culture and civilization? So this is the study matter of this course, which comes in two parts. Now, who should do these courses? There are three categories. One is, if you are not a born Hindu, then of course we are students of philosophy and we live life, and it is interesting to learn about different cultures and philosophy and religions. So we can always be, we should be ready to learn about new. Now, the remaining two categories. I am a born Hindu, but do I really know what is Hinduism? Why I am a Hindu? If somebody asks me, are you a Hindu? Why? Because I do a Satyanarayan Puja once in a year. I wear all ethnic clothes and go to the temples. Is that the reason why I'm a Hindu? Or do I know who I am? What is the purpose of my life and how I can understand my dharma, swadharma, how I can add value in the society and to my existence? This is about Upanishads. And therefore, I feel this nourishment is necessary to begin with. And this is all about Upanishads. Now, it is often said that, academically, it is sad that in the field of philosophy, it is often a false narrative which has been continuously put that Hindu philosophy or Indian philosophy is superstitious. It doesn't have that rigor. It just talks about faith. It just talks about, tells people to believe. No, Upanishads teach us to ask questions, ask fundamental questions. And based on this Upanishads, we have developed an enormous body of schools of philosophy, which are called as Shad Darshana. We are structured, we are logical, we are analytical. At the same time, we are unbiased. Our methodology of philosophy goes from Purva Paksha, Uttar Paksha debates. So we believe that people are different and they can think differently, and we know how to respect them. So with this respect, there is a Purva Paksha. So a darshan called Charvak is Indian materialism. So we respect that. We learn about that. and understand what are the premises of materialism. And then we also talk about a school like Nyaya, which talks about hardcore logic. Especially if you go into Navya Nyaya, it is still more rigorous. So we needn't believe that everything that is rigorous, logical, structural, methodological happens only in the West. Rather, we have an enriched tradition of logical arguments, dialogues, and structure. That is an introduction which we come across in Nyaya. Sankhya is one of the oldest schools of Indian philosophy, which talks about Purusha and Prakriti, a very interesting presentation of the world that is around us and our presence and the meaning of our existence. And then Vaisheshika by Kanad Rishi is another interesting school of philosophy which talks about different fundamental materials and substances that exist. And so it's hardcore science. And let us get to know what it is. And of course, the darshan, yoga darshan, is something which is an amalgamation of philosophy, spirituality, and sadhana. How do I bring it in my life, my experience? Is all about Yoga Shastra. And then, of course, Purva Mimamsa by Rishi Jaimini, Uttar Mimamsa, where we come across Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya. So they talk about Vedanta from their perspective. So these are different six schools of Hindu philosophy, which are also called as Astic schools of philosophy. Now, orthodox schools of philosophy or Astic is nothing related to your belief in God. Astic is those schools which believe in the authority of Vedas. And Nastic darshanas are Charvak, Buddhism, and Jainism. They're also part of Hinduism, but they do not believe in the authority of Vedas, though there are amazing insights and thoughts and very closely related to the Upanishadic philosophy also. So this is in all a study of 9 schools of philosophy which we get introduced to in the introduction of Shed Darshanas. So I feel that if you're a Hindu, born Hindu, this is our fundamental primary duty. Unfortunately, this is not introduced in our schools and curriculums. At smaller levels, with a little introduction, if this is introduced to students right from the primary school, then we will reproduce scholars in Indian philosophy. So there is a gap these days, you know. We all grow up and then we go back to Indian philosophy when our prime years have already gone. So we need to reach with this to the new generation when the car is new with full capacity, and then they take it forward and then they develop it into bigger vruksha, or I would say a big tree. So for those Hindus, these courses are important. Then also for those Hindus who say that I am born Hindu, but I am not religious. I'm not a Hindu. So for them, this is more important because we should know what we are negating. We should know what we are leaving. See, divorces are not easy. Marriages are easy because we know that why I want to get married. But if one wants to take a divorce, then one has to really know why you are leaving something and going away. So if we are getting a divorce with Hinduism, we should be more rigorous in understanding what Hinduism really means. And then we can have that thought and say, no, I'm not Hindu. So that becomes another requirement that we first study philosophy, Hinduism, Upanishads, Shad Darshan, and then come to an understanding. Because there is a possibility that sometimes we are a prey to ignorance and colonized narratives. And then maybe, you know, we just imagine and we feel that this is Hinduism and I am not Hinduism. And this is a very natural process. We don't have to be guilty, but just we have to wake up from this slumber that when we negate something, we will negate only when I study that. And when I study that, I'm a better person to talk about accepting or not accepting it. So I thought these are the 3 categories where we all fall in, and therefore learning Upanishads, Shad Darshan becomes important. And growing up with Gita is our initiative, and Hindu Dharmic parenting is also our initiative to reach the younger generation. So, yeah, I just want to say one thing that philosophically, our society appears to be malnutritioned. We are not nourished with the right philosophy, methodology of philosophy, and the analytical way of thinking. Because in Shveta Upanishad, it starts with the question Kim Karanam Brahma? What is Brahman? Kutasma Jata? Where from I came? Where do I go? When all these rishis come and sit there, they ask these kind of question. Whether this is yadrucha, in random this world is happening, or is there a prayojan behind that? Is there some causality behind that? See, all these kind of discussions don't just happen in the dialogues of Plato. They happen even in Upanishads. Rather, they are ancient and there is a rich way of discussion. And after that, when they get different answers but still they are not satisfied, te dhyana yoganugata. So they went into meditation. So knowledge has to be realized. And therefore, we say that it is Shruti. It is not Smruti. Smruti is just memory. Shruti is realizing. And therefore, we say that Upanishads and Vedas, they are the fundamental nourishing points where we have to visit. We have to immerse ourselves into it. And in the end, it is an happy journey. Lot of happiness is there. Lot of peace is there. To get connected back to our roots, to ourselves, to be more precise. So I think I will conclude with this, and I would welcome all of you. If you have already been part of our courses, please at least try to talk about this with 5 people around you, each of us, so that more and more people know about Hindu University of America, the courses. You can share the webinar. This will be recorded. If you go on our website, we have different webinars going on every week. So I would say that, yes, join hands with us. This is a very beautiful journey, enriching journey, and need of the time. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, there are a couple of questions in the chat. I will address one of them. See, the question of how to address young people, how to teach yoga to them, how to introduce Hinduism to them, is not a matter of learning a few tips and techniques. Okay. It's not a matter of learning, hey, if you do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 8, then you'd be a fantastic teacher for young people. No, it's not that. It is really about being so grounded in Sanatana Dharma, so completely immersed in Sanatana Dharma, in your own understanding of this Dharma, that you can be situationally appropriate and respond to a particular inquiry, line of inquiry, a particular question that a young person is asking. And being able to have the resources within you, intellectual and spiritual resources within you, that you can respond in that moment in a way that is deeply satisfying, both for the person receiving this knowledge and for you. And that is the purpose of the certificate program in Hindu studies. Okay. If we deal with this at the level of tips and techniques, we will miss the point. Swami Dayananda Saraswati used to tell me a story about a Swami who came to him as a student in Rishikesh and asked him, please teach me 10 lectures on the Bhagavad Gita. And Swamiji asked him, have you studied the Bhagavad Gita? And this person said, no, I have never studied the Bhagavad Gita. Then he asked, but why do you need 10 lectures on the Bhagavad Gita then? And the other person replied, saying, I'm going on a US tour. I'm going to give lectures in America. So I need 10 lectures on the Bhagavad Gita. And then Swamiji asked him, but you don't want to study the Bhagavad Gita? They said, no, I don't want to learn the Bhagavad Gita. I just want 10 lectures so I can be a credible uh, tourist Swami in giving lectures in various Hindu mandirs. You know, and this is a challenge. The one of the contemporary challenges is, we say, give it to me in 1 hour. I want to learn Hinduism in 4 hours. The latest generation sees, look, 90 seconds. If I can't get it, if you can't inspire me in 90 seconds, you're done. I'll scroll past you. You understand? So the challenge is that we are losing our own attention spans. Yeah. So, and the younger generation is losing it even faster. And we are creating, believe it or not, the modern world, especially the West, has successfully created a generation of children and youngsters who are so hooked on to their devices, their smartphones, their video games, and so on, that they are suffering from deep anxiety when it comes to relationships with others, relationships with society, and a general anxiety around just being in this world and navigating this complex world successfully. And that they are giving a new name for it. It's called mental health. Mental health. Right? And Sanatana Dharma, there is no discipline more sophisticated when it comes to dealing with mental health, because the concept of mind and its relation to spirit and its relationship to the body is so very well developed within Hinduism, in Hindu thought, in Sanatana Dharma. Okay, now let me go back to my deck. Few more slides. So I showed you this slide where we said there are so many dimensions to Hindu studies, Hindu thought. There is so much to learn. And really, as a garden variety Hindu, what do we really learn? Okay, what do we really learn? We learn some rituals in this area, traditions and rituals. We learn some of it. We learn a few shlokas, maybe, from various texts, a few shlokas. But we've never really studied a text very deeply, like the Bhagavad Gita. Like that Swami said, I don't even want to know the full Bhagavad Gita. I just want to have the ability to give 10 lectures on the Bhagavad Gita so that I can pass as though I'm a knowledgeable Swami. Right? Spirituality, there is so much in our traditions, and philosophy. And Kaligaji, essentially focused on some of these aspects. There are also other aspects: history, society, contributions, and culture. And let me now take you to the certificate program itself on our website. See, this is the page on our website where the certificate program in Hindu studies is presented. Okay, Ankur, you can put this page on the chat window, okay, for people to look at.
Yes.
There are program learning outcomes. Through the certificate program, students will be able to clarify the Hindu paradigm. Paradigm means what? The Hindu thought process, the Hindu cosmology, the Hindu worldview. It is a whole culture, a whole civilization, a worldview that is very distinct and unique, right? Articulate the contemporary relevance of that worldview, of that paradigm of Hindu thought. Apply that thinking to learn to think from a Hindu context. create new pathways for service, leadership, and global engagement. And then contribute with confidence and clarity in unique and innovative ways. Okay. These are the program learning outcomes. Now, what is this program? Well, it is a 24 credit hour program, a very deep and intense study. It's at the certificate level. It's not at the graduate level. And students can complete this program as early as 8 quarters. It may take more quarters if you take it more slowly. And to complete this program, you have to do 24 credit hours, 15 of which are in the core. Right now, that's how we are articulating it. You have to do 15 credit hours in the core and required areas, and 9 credit hours in the electives area. And there are a lot of options. Hindu Studies Foundation. So orientation to Hindu Studies, distinguishing Jati, Varna and Jati from caste. Philosophy, Shaddarshanas. I don't know why this is not a link. I could make a note of this. Upanishads, Swadharma, Dhyanam, and so on. History and methods, yoga studies, yoga of the Bhagavad Gita, yoga and the Yoga Sutra, texts and traditions, Ayurveda, integrative health. These are all core courses, what are called core courses. Then you come to the electives, lots of elective courses. Valmiki Ramayana, Renaissance of Sanatana Dharma, Chanakya, leadership principles, yoga studies, lots of courses in the yoga area, texts and traditions area, some music related courses, Ayurveda, particular texts like Bhajagovinda, like Dakshinamurti Stotram, like and Darshanas, in-depth study of Nyaya Darshana, Sankhya Darshana. And so on. So there is a tremendous variety of courses. And what I wanted to do was to take you to the list of courses. So when you complete the certificate program, your life as a student, as a Hindu, will be fundamentally transformed and foundationally transformed. That's our commitment. Okay. In a moment, Sharad Aminji will speak about this. But let me tell you how. Okay. See, Purushartha is one of the foundational concepts in Sanatana Dharma. Purushartha means what? Well, there is Kama, Artha, Dharma, and Moksha. These are the Purusharthas. This is foundational to Hinduism. Everybody is interested in Kama. Kama means what? Kama means survival, pleasure, joy, happiness, sensual enjoyments of various kinds. It's the seeking of immediate gratification, immediate pleasure, immediate happiness. This is Kama. Artha means the pursuit of security and comfort, conveniences in life, comforts and conveniences, future well-being, stability in our lives, savings, investments, retirement plans, a house, a home, relationships, networks of relationships, wealth management. All of that is Artha. And for the most part, Western society teaches us, Western education teaches us how to be effective in the pursuit of Artha and Kama. Okay. And if somebody is very, very wealthy, you are very successful in the pursuit of Artha, you make a lot of money, 99 times out of 100, the pull of Western society is towards Kama. So what people end up doing is they deploy their wealth towards the pursuit of more and more and more varieties of Kama, varieties of pleasures. They buy yachts, they buy islands, they buy mansions, they travel all over the world. So in other words, Kama becomes predominant in life. But Sanatana Dharma foundationally says, no, that's the wrong direction of growth and evolution in life. You had to move towards Dharma, which is the pursuit of the well-being of others. pursuit of law and order and social harmony and duties and security, pursuit of a good, safe environment for future generations. All of that becomes dharma. Okay. So from artha, do you fall back into kama, pursuing ever greater varieties of pleasures and devices for one's own happiness and fulfillment? Or do you move into the realm of dharma? This is the great question in our lives, okay? And Sanatana Dharma has a very important answer. And of course, there is moksha, which is freedom, fullness, total contentment, cessation of sorrow, cessation from the cycle of birth and rebirth, return to the source and bliss, and so on. And really speaking, right, these purusharthas create a hierarchy of aspirations and endeavors. They create a balance between the individual pursuits, the personal interests, and the social, the environmental, the spiritual, and the cosmic. This balance between these dimensions is articulated in the Purusharthas. So, the transformation that we are seeking or we are aspiring to create in our students is that as you move from Kama and Artha, instead of falling back into an ever greater dimension of pleasures and happiness and pursuits of comforts and conveniences, you move more reliably, confidently into the realm of dharma. And you use your artha for the purpose of dharma. Right? That is the dimension of growth, which we believe the certificate program in Hindu studies will generate. And that's a transformational journey in one's life. How that expression of dharma, your swadharma, will manifest in this life, we cannot predict. Each one of you will find your own expression, that is unique to you and your own participation in the world. Okay, so this is the kind of the framework for the Purushartha, the growth through the Purusharthas, the hierarchy of aspirations. So let me stop here, and Sharadji, please, we'd like you to share a little bit about your journey in the certificate program in Hindu studies. How has it transformed you as a student? Please, your turn. Okay, few minutes. Sharadji.
Yeah, Namaste. So I'm actually out in Milwaukee, at Madison. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I started the program during COVID and carried on. So, like recently, I just took the courses on this yoga of Patanjali Sutra, and really enjoyed. So far, the transformation, like I'm pretty much in yoga and practicing yoga every day, and also taking some classes and all those. But with the understanding, I think it has helped me a lot. So the whole thing is like when even our perception of the doing the work in a community, social work, and also dealing with people has changed. Uh, now, okay, you can hear the noise. Anyway, so the main thing is over the period of time, the transformation in myself and my doing the work in a society has changed. I mean, there are not enough words to describe how can I appreciate the courses I have taken, but it's a tremendous changes. That's all I can say. I can answer any question if anybody has.
Great. All right, Sharadji, thank you so much for joining and taking time out from your vacation and speaking to us. Okay. Now, we'll take a few questions in the Q&A box, okay, before we before we conclude this webinar. And Ankur, if you have a poll, you can put it up right now for the audience. Okay.
That's a question in the chat, that will I be able to do Hindu studies and dharmic parenting simultaneously?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So there is a question on Mahavakya. Is this correct mantra? Yeah, this is Brahma Satyam Jagat Mityam. That is the verse, Shankaracharya's great statement that you're quoting. So, Kalikaji, you remember the shloka? Brahma Satyam Jagat Mityam.
Jivo Brahmaiva Napara.
Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha.
Naparaha.
Yeah, that is, it's a great statement. It is not in the, I don't believe it is in the Upanishads themselves, but it is rather in the Shankaracharya's commentary on the Upanishads. So that's the way we would say that. Yeah, why people say Hinduism is mythology. So there are two problems, Shaurabh Kumarji. There are two problems with that statement. One is it's rooted in a profound ignorance of Hinduism. Okay, that's the first point. It's a caricaturing of Hinduism. Oh, it's all mythology. But the second is it's a deep misunderstanding of what is mythology itself. I will say a little bit about mythologies, but let me come back to. So S.M. Krishnan is asking, will this course be available later? It's not one course, Krishnaji. It is a collection of courses. It is a 24 credit hour program, and it'll take you at least a couple of years to complete. Taking one or two courses every quarter. So my suggestion to you is you start with one course at least next quarter. Get into one course. And one example might be the Varna and Jati course, distinguishing Varna and Jati from caste. That will be a great starting point to enter this journey. Now, mythology. I want to address this question of mythology. Okay. See, before Christianity took over Europe, the Greeks had lots of mythology. The Greeks and the Romans, they had lots of mythologies. Understand? These mythologies were stories of gods like Zeus, like Poseidon, like Bacchus, like many Greek gods, right? And these were considered mythologies. They served that society very well. Then later on, somewhere in the course of history, mythology got degraded as something false. Essentially it got framed as oppositional to history, as though history was factually based and mythology was imaginatively founded, right? And Hinduism, equating Hinduism to mythology, essentially says a historical fact is of far more value than an imaginative story that is timeless. Ramayana and Mahabharata are timeless narratives. Timeless narratives. Why? Because they are relevant for every generation. They bring to life certain truths, certain realities, generation after generation after generation. And therefore, we must learn not only the specific Itihasa Purana traditions of Hinduism, but also learn to place the proper value on what is meant by mythology, and not succumb to this utterly nonsensical binary called history versus mythology, which overvalues history and undervalues mythology. Okay, now there's a lot to be said about that, but I'm just giving you the short version for now, and then we'll. Yeah, some Christian is saying how to answer Ramayana and Mahabharata really happened. That's exactly the problem. See, it's a problematical question that arises from the Western paradigm of knowledge, the Christian paradigm of knowledge, where the history of Ramayana and Mahabharata, when they happened, how they happened, at what time, what age, etc., is somehow considered to be a far more important matter for resolution rather than the lessons for life that the Ramayana and the Mahabharata have to offer to you and to your children and to your grandchildren and to future generations. Understand? This is a different paradigm. And once you get caught up without understanding the origin of the question, did the Ramayana and the Mahabharata really happen? If you overvalue that question, you'll be stuck with that question. The learning here is to properly understand where that question is coming from, why it has become so important, and how to understand its place with reference to what the Ramayana and the Mahabharata are really trying to do as texts, as itihasas. Right? So, I mean, again, I'm entering a domain of complexity here, which is it's not easy to resolve this complexity in a webinar. Therefore, I invite you into the certificate program in Hindu studies. Okay.
Kalyanji, there is an interesting question again. Can
Yeah.
this course help in creating a clear framework for teaching Hinduism and yoga in a way that resonates with the second generation Hindus as well as non-Hindus?
Yeah. The answer is absolutely. And just to clarify the language, this is a program, the certificate program in Hindu studies. It consists of many, many, many courses. Okay. And you had to complete 24 credit hours of courses to earn the certificate program in Hindu studies. Okay. And when you complete this program, will it give you the ability to interact with young people, position Hinduism with them, teach them yoga, whatever, in the manner that is most appropriate for them? Absolutely. I have every confidence that this program will deliver that for you. All right. Any more questions? Yeah, how can one fight? Please put the questions in the Q&A box, okay, please. When will this course start? I mean, this course is starting very soon in October. So please get in this program. The program you can get into the program at any time, okay? There is no particular time starting point. How can one fight or answer when other religions discredit our religion and culture? Not a single Hindu comes forward to oppose, fight against such activities. No, that's because of ignorance, See, the deepest problem is one of ignorance. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Kalikaji recited that verse earlier. Tamasoma. Tamas means what? Means the darkness of ignorance. Jyotirgamaya means what? The light of knowledge. Unless we move ourselves from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, we will not be able to generate the confidence and the courage to stand for our traditions and culture. Not a single Hindu comes forward to oppose, fight against such activities. Why? Because for more than 1,000 years, Hindus have been in a mode of survival. I just want to survive. I just want my family to survive. I don't care about anybody else. This shrinking of responsibility, the shrinking of our responsibility to be so concerned only about ourselves and nothing else, and the concomitant ignorance associated with our own dharma gives us no confidence to stand up against our opponents. Okay? This is the challenge.
And while it may feel like nobody is stepping up, but that is what Hindu University of America is doing. We are creating space, we're connecting with other organizations. This Hindu ecosystem is in development, and you joining the certificate program in Hindu studies, becoming a confident Hindu, who can speak with clarity on so many topics. And it's always amazing having Kalyanji and having Dr. Kalika Uttarkar with us, because these are examples of Hindus who are stepping up, of explaining, sharing, working in this space. And so while we see what's happening in Bangladesh and ongoing Hindu phobia, we are addressing it. And it's important for people to get off the sidelines, get off the fences, take a course, engage, if it is academically, with other organizations. But now is the time to get involved, and the certificate program is really what we feel is at the core of what needs to happen. So please do fill out that poll. Let us know if you're interested. I think we're coming to near the end of the webinar. If you didn't put in the chat where you're zooming in from and you'd like a shout out, I can give you and your geography a quick shout out. Thank you, Sharaji, for joining us today. I don't know if we have any other students who are in the CPSP program that may want to make a quick testimonial, but Kalyanji, back to you.
Yeah. So there's an anonymous attendee. So I want to call you Mr. Anonymous G. A comment about being anonymous, okay? Why not be known? Why not be known? What is this embarrassment about being anonymous? Yeah. What is your reason that you want to be anonymous? Okay. That's for you to reflect on, okay? Is Shruti what is heard or what is realized? Usually Shruti is explained as what is heard. Kalikaji, you want to take that?
Okay, the Shruti comes from the word Shruta. Shruta means from where it is heard. But from whom it is heard from the rishis. And these rishis were the realized souls. So where from did they get their knowledge? They got their knowledge from their realization. So the realization that they achieved was later on discussed in the dialogues in the Upanishads. So that is the Shruta knowledge. So it has both the meanings from that sense.
Is there further growth post this course? We get some credit. Yeah, this course, first of all, this is not a course, it's a program. It consists of many courses. You'll be taking a series of courses quarter after quarter for at least 2 years, maybe 3 years before you complete this program. In that sense, it's a very serious commitment. Will you be purchasing books? Yeah, you'll be purchasing lots of books along the way, and every course, different faculty will come in. You'll be encountering a variety of faculty. I'm not the only, I teach only 2 courses. Kalikaji teaches 4 courses. And other faculty will teach many other courses. So you'll be encountering many, many faculty in the program. And yes, there will be future growth into the master's level, the doctoral level, and so on, which is always possible. Okay. I think we are out of questions at this point, unless there are any more questions. Ankur, can turn it over to you and close it out.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on this webinar this Saturday. Navratri, happy Navratri. Continue to participate in the community and join Hindu University of America if it's through the certificate program. Maybe you want to take a course first and then enroll in the program. That's totally fine. Our whole community education division is made to be accessible. And again, Kalyanji went over so many different courses, so many different offerings. Every quarter we're adding and expanding with wonderful faculty like Dr. Kalika Uttarkar, and of course our own president, Kalyan Vishwanathan. Not only does he teach a course every quarter, he's also enrolled as a student. And I'm actually going to be taking his Varna and Jati courses next quarter, and we encourage participation so that we can talk from a place of confidence and clarity, so we actually know what we're talking about. That's always a statement. What am I going to learn? I already know all about Hinduism, but clearly there is so much more to learn, and Hindu University of America is a platform to engage and participate in that way. So please join us at Hindu University of America, take a course, enroll in a program, join the local Friends of HUA chapters. There's many ways to participate and join Hindu University of America. So with that, thank you all. Dhanyavad. Namaste.
Namaste, everybody. Thank you. Luca, can you show the results of the poll?
Yeah. Ending the poll, sharing the results. Yeah, got a couple of interests. Good. I also added some information about our upcoming retreats. So in addition to the online courses, we have in-person retreats. Our next two retreats are going to be at the end of the year, December 26th to the 29th. We're going to have two parallel retreats on Sanskrit Sambhashana, kind of like a Sanskrit residential camp, and Explore Nakshatras and Galaxies, an experiential retreat for Hindu astronomy with Dr. Rajvedam. So again, we continue to offer new programs, new courses, new opportunities to engage as a Hindu. So please enroll, participate. Let us know how you'd like to. I'm always accessible. Please do reach out. All right. Any comments, Kayanji, on the poll?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Namaste.
Namaste, everybody. Thank you. Namaste. See you later. Okay.